Now we actually have everything ready to go ahead and start creating our first surfaces. And I'm going to start with the bi-rail surface. So I'm going to select rail surface, double click it. So I see the tool control option when Alias actually allows me to see it. And I make sure I have one generation curve and two rail curves. Now the first generation curve is our cross section. And then we have to select our two rails, the inner and outer ring. And that's basically it already. Okay, so this one is good. Let's create another layer, and maybe this surface I'm going to apply to there, assign, and maybe I call this one dial surface. And then go back to here and hide it. So, what do we do next? Well, actually, let's go to the dial surface. And I would like to create a small surface that goes into the MP3 player. And we can do that surface again with making use of the draft surface tool. So I can click it, go into this view, and select this ring and select this edge. So you see I'm actually sampling the edges from the rail surface. A draft angle of 0 and a length of 1. That is all good. Let's go into the side view and take a look. And because my two rings are snapped to the grid, 1 millimeter also stops exactly here at the grid. So that will help me later in a different modeling task. So this is really good, and I can leave it there. Then I can go back to dial. I'm going to hide the dial surface. And for example, I'm going to select now those objects here. Go into the side view. Maybe turn on the dial for a second. And I'm going to move those away a little bit more along the x-axis. So with those curves selected, and you remember I actually turned that into a group, so I only have to select it once and it selects all elements. Now I can press the middlemost button and then press the Alt key and snap it roughly a millimeter in front of it. So like this. So now the distance is 1, 2, 3, 4 millimeters, and I'm going to use the draft surface, and I'm going to now pick those polylines and then double click the draft surface icon, go into the right view, and for example here now I type in 4 because I would like to create a surface that is 4 millimeters long, so that when I zoom in here, the surface or the surfaces that are now created perfectly, and also where, for example, the side surface of my button ends. And then I can close that toolbar, select nothing, select object, and maybe those surfaces I also assign to that layer. So you saw again how useful the grid is really when you start constructing in a CAD manner your different objects, because it makes precision working really a piece of cake.